Welcome to the Roundtable. I'm Maura Carlin. Political polarization, partisan divide, reds versus blues. Studies this year show the growing rift is wider than in the last 2 decades, if not longer. It's affecting our country, our politics, our communities, and even our families. One group is hoping to bring America back together through dialogue.
Better Angels is a national grassroots citizens movement dedicated to 3 principles. Number 1, the rancor, the divisiveness, the hatred of others who disagree with you, the hyperpartisanship is a trend that has gone way too far in this country, and we need to put a stop to it right now.
Blankenhorn goes on to say that despite deep disagreements, there is common ground and that we need to create a space for civil discourse. Better Angels is doing this by getting together people from the political spectrum to talk and get to know each other. Better Angels' first event was in Ohio following the election of President Trump.
A 3-day gathering of 7 Republicans and 8 Democrats in the small Rust Belt town of Lebanon, Ohio. Their comments revealed their anxieties and concerns about their coming meeting with folks who voted differently from them. After 2.5 days of skillfully guided and very dynamic exchanges, a group statement was read by David Blankenhorn, one of the leaders of the gathering, that summarized what had taken place.
A number of us on both sides began our meeting believing that the other side could not be dealt with on the basis of rational thought. We say unanimously that our experience of talking with, rather than simply at or about each other, caused us to abandon that belief.
Which brings us to tonight's guests. In June, a smaller and shorter Better Angels event was held in White Plains. When we come back from a quick break, 2 participants from that event will discuss their experiences. Welcome back. We're discussing Better Angels, a group trying to bring America together through conversation. Our guests participated in an event this summer. Maria DeRose is from Mamaroneck. She recently ran for village trustee. And Len Andrews is from White Plains. I'll let you figure out who's red and who's blue. And in the interest of full disclosure, I helped arrange the June event. I acted as a reporter, or rather a recorder during it. I wasn't a participant. As always, you can call, email, or tweet questions or comments. The contact information is on your screen. Maria, thank you for joining us. I want to start with, why did you decide to participate?
Actually, you contacted me, and I read up on it, and it seemed like a really good tool to meet other people and see what our similarities are, what our differences are, and just try and come together to find some common ground, not to be so divided. It's bad out there.
And what about you, Len? What made you decide to do it?
What struck me as really the right thing that we need to do is have more discussion and real listening to one another, rather than having this constant confrontation and diatribe where we're just calling each other names rather than trying to get to the real issues.
And did you feel it did that?
Oh, I think it did, absolutely.
Can you describe, both of you, how it worked? Because I don't think people can imagine, whether you're 2 groups of people where you're given boxing gloves and told to go at it.
No, it was very civil. We sat at a table. We were given a series of questions to answer, and then we did a circle group, and we had one group inside, and they discussed their answers to the questions, and then the other group just sat outside and listened, and then we switched places, and then we just discussed it amongst everyone, and it was very eye-opening, very nice.
Was there anything that you heard that surprised you?
Yeah, there were quite a few things. One of the things that really surprised me, and I know some liberals can be very, very intolerant, and that's one of the things that concerns me. And they've been very intolerant to Maria. And I found that as shocking, but I it's just a reality. It's something we have to deal with.
Right.
Did you find it comfortable or uncomfortable?
In the beginning, I was a little uncomfortable because I didn't know what we were going to do, what was going to happen. Was there going to be name calling? I know we weren't supposed to, but you never know. People get heated when you talk about what's going on with the country. But that was just briefly, and then it was a wonderful experience. I was very comfortable with it, and it was very eye-opening, and it was really nice.
Did you discover commonalities or differences in values or concerns between the two sides?
I think we had a lot more in common than we disagreed on. Our core values were really all the same. Everybody there wanted what's best for the country, what's best for their neighborhoods, what's best for themselves, what's best just to bring people together. Nobody wants all this hate and discourse, and that is basically what I got out of it. Like, we really did have more in common than I thought we were going to.
I agree with Maria, and the moderators said at the end that it was very clear that the conservative side was very much concerned about the little guy, when the liberal side generally tends to say we're in favor of the little guy, and that value was there, that we have a country that we need to share and support the little guy, and that was it was very telling to me.
Did you feel as though the Reds and the Blues really connected with each other?
I think so. I mean, I came away with it, from it, asking for people's email addresses. Let's get together again soon. We did have a lot in common.
Yeah, I would like to have a glass of wine or a beer with some of them. So.
Well, maybe after this show we can arrange that. We're going to take a very quick break, and we'll be back in a moment to talk about how what you learned can help with the holidays. Stay with us. And welcome back. That was awfully quick. So we're going to talk about what you learned about the other and how it affects your relationships, and particularly over the holidays. And what I really want to start with is, so Christmas, New Year's upon us. Are you going to avoid discussing politics?
It's not going to be the main focal point of Christmas dinner and New Year's Eve. A little bit. I mean, not on purpose, but it's just that there's so many other things to talk about and enjoy the family and enjoy friends and talk about other things. I really just don't want to, purposely not wanting to deal with it.
What about you, Len?
I agree with that, although I think my brother will probably want to discuss some politics. He is in a different perspective than I am, so we have some very interesting conversations.
What, if anything, did you learn through the Better Angels experience that is helping you to deal with people who think differently or look at things differently or believe differently?
I learned to pause before answering. Before Better Angels, so somebody would say something and I'd be like, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. But now I just really listening to what they say, giving it a chance to get in here and register and take a beat, take a pause, and then come back with something constructive, something that, try and find some common ground in what they're saying as to what I'm going to answer them with. And I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, it's hard work to try to find that common ground. And usually, you start with a great disparity, and it takes some time and some hard work, and it's just building trust on both sides.
Are there particular areas where you've been able to find common ground, either at the Better Angels event or just with people in your life?
I mean, I'm outnumbered in my house. Everyone is a registered Democrat. I'm the only registered Republican. And, every time the news comes on, my daughter, my older daughter especially, looks at me, with that face like this is all your fault. And
which she would do regardless of political affiliation.
True. But, it just, sometimes talking to her is a real challenge, but, I love her dearly, and we find ways to just make the conversation, not an angry shouting match at who's right and who's wrong, because honestly, I really don't think there is a lot of right and wrong in these days.
Are there issues that, I'm sorry, go ahead, Len.
Well, Trump is such a polarizing character, and it's really hard to discuss him personality or him individually. But to get to the issues that he's involved in and both parties are involved in is the way to try to reach commonality rather than dealing with personalities.
And are there particular issues that you think there really is common ground, let's say in this area, in Westchester County?
Well, nobody wants higher taxes. So I think we could all agree on that. I just think that really there is a common ground that everybody just wants peace and harmony and to do what's best for their own community and what's best for the country. And I think it would be great if everybody could just get along. And I think that's really what we all want. And like Len said, you know, I no disrespect to the president, but I think he is the problem, not Democrats versus Republicans. I really think that is what the problem is, because we've been Democrats and Republicans for as long as we've had a country, and we've never been like this. So there's that instigating factor there.
So in that way, he's uniting people?
In a way.
Maybe uniting, not to like him, but yeah, it could be.
As far as the issues in Westchester, I think we can agree on is the homeless problem and feeding the hungry. I think we can all agree that those are things we need to work on.
We have a question from a viewer. How do we encourage this to spread? I assume what they mean is this discourse, when so many people are resistant to talking to each other.
Well, I think the Better Angels organization itself is doing that, and doing it quite effectively throughout the nation, trying to get individuals in each area to develop these conversation groups where 6 people on each side get together and have the discussion. And I think I'd like to see a lot more of that go on throughout the country.
And they started a bus tour across the country. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, to bring this smaller gatherings, more like what we did, you know, not 3 days, which was, that's quite a long time.
And they're working this year, or this coming year, for Better Angels Media network to again broaden the
what is that? I hadn't heard about that.
Well, it's the idea of making more of these discussions available through the media, and just broadening the appeal of Better Angels' approach to having real conversations. Well,
if anyone is interested in this project, Better Angels, you can reach them through their website, better-angels.org. And before we move on, we received a late update on the Village of Mamaronec's flood management program in a holiday message from the new mayor, Tom Murphy, which says that the Army Corps of Engineers' chief report on flood risk management for the Mamaroneck and Sheldrake River basins has been signed. The project moves to the next phase where Congress can act to authorize and fund the initiative. And I want to thank you, Maria and Len, for joining us tonight. But you don't go anywhere, because when we return, Kate and Kayode Howard tell us their movie and TV picks for the month. Stay tuned.